Welcome. I'm Jamie Tyler, your energy esthetician, and this is the Love Aligned podcast. Okay, so today I'm going to be going into shadow work and just talking a little bit about shadow work, and we're just going to dig into it basically. You will want to probably get like a notepad and like a pen or pencil or something like that, though, for sure. Just so that you can write some things down, and you'll be able to pause if you would like at any time as well, especially if you've ever wanted to try shadow work or just working on the shadow self. But going into shadow work, what is light without darkness? Or darkness without light, right? Though two forces are inseparable and equally vital, one sparks joy and hope, while the other tends to elicit feelings of uncertainty, fear, and shame. But why do we instinctively fear the darkness? Why are we afraid of what we can't see or what we don't know? Why are we so afraid of it? We all have traits that we are proud of, and we all have traits we don't feel so confident about, right? Some of these traits may trigger or embarrass us, so we tend to hide them from public view. These parts make up our shadow self, and it longs to be heard. However, it's not always easy to come to terms with our shadow self. So many of us tend to repress these hidden parts of ourselves to avoid having to confront the darker side. Even though the shadow still exists, it gets pushed back. So we just push it and push it and push it back, and then it's kind of forgotten. But repressing our inner shadow can have dangerous consequences. So most often, the shadow will manifest as our triggers. So emotional reactions that we haven't fully dealt with, they bubble up to the surface under, say, the right or even wrong circumstances. It does take training, self-awareness, guidance, and courage to help face our shadow self in healthy ways. And this is exactly why shadow work actually exists. Shadow work is designed to help us integrate and accept every single part of ourselves so that we can live and thrive with more clarity and authenticity. So the shadow is just the dark side of us. It's the dark side of our personality. And because it consists chiefly of the primitive, negative human emotions and impulses like rage, envy, greed, selfishness, desire, and the striving of power, okay? All we deny in ourselves, whatever we perceive as inferior, evil, or unacceptable, become part of the shadow. So anything incompatible with our chosen conscious attitude about ourselves, basically it's the dark side. The personal shadow is the disowned self. So this shadow self represents the parts of us we just no longer claim to be our own, including inherent positive qualities. These unexamined or disowned parts of our personality, they don't go anywhere. Although we deny them in our attempt to cast them out, we don't get rid of them. So we repress them. They are part of our unconscious. Think of the unconscious as everything we're just not conscious of, right? So we can't eliminate the shadow. It just stays with us as our dark brother or sister. Trouble arises when we fail to see it, but we don't forget. We also cut ourselves off from many of our best qualities too. So really, shadow work, it's helping us see and basically bring these things together and accept it, right? How the shadow is born, how does it actually become part of us? Every young child knows kindness, right? And love and generosity, but they also, they do express anger and selfishness and greed. These emotions are part of our shared humanity. But as we grow up, something happens, right? Traits associated with being good are accepted, but others associated with being bad are rejected. So things change, and we all have basic human needs. So these needs, they include like psychological needs, basically, right? Safety and security needs, needs for belonging. So these needs are like a biological and like instinctual. So as children, when we expressed certain parts of ourselves, we received negative cues from our environment. So maybe we got angry and we threw like a temper tantrum, right? Our parents reprimanded us, outbursts, and they sent us to our room. Or maybe we acted boldly, playfully, or we were spontaneous or silly in our first grade classroom, and our teacher shamed us for our lack of whatever it was in front of the class, and they told us to sit down. Whenever it happened, and it might have happened often, it threatened one of our basic needs. Would the disapproval of our parents threaten our safety? Would the disapproval of our teachers and classmates jeopardize our need to belong? We adjusted our behavior to gratify our needs in order to adapt to the external world. Okay? So all the unaccepted or discouraged parts of us in the first 20 years of our whole lives are bundled together and they're swept out of view. So outside of our conscious awareness. So how do we actually benefit from our shadow work? So one way is it improves our relationships. It helps to give us more clarity. It can enhance our energy and our physical health. It helps with creativity. It helps us discover our hidden talents and to practice self-acceptance. These are amazing things and benefits that shadow work can help us with. Okay? So this is where you're going to want to have a pen and paper. So if you haven't grabbed it already, I would grab it. But here are some prompts for shadow work. And this just is to help you kick off the healing journey for you. And these prompts are amazing. So this is like just writing down these questions and then answering the questions, okay? So 1, how do you believe people see you? How would they describe you to someone else? How does that make you feel? What are the worst traits someone can have according to you? When did you demonstrate these traits? What tends to make you judgmental towards others? What memories are you ashamed of? Who do you envy and why? Write a letter to the person who's hurt you the most in your life and tell them everything you'd like to say. What frightens you the most? What are some ways you could safely expose yourself to this fear? What emotions typically bring out the worst in you? And why do you think this happens? When was the last time you self-sabotaged? How were you feeling at the time? What do you think triggered this behavior? Which friendships made you feel safe and secure? Which relationships no longer serve you? What's something you wish that other people understood about you? What are some lies you've previously told yourself? What's your worst memory from childhood? What is the worst character trait that you have as a result of this memory or events from your childhood? What are your parents' best character traits? What about their worst? How do you feel when drama occurs? What makes you self-conscious? What makes you feel unsafe? Who do you currently have a grudge against? Why do you think you aren't letting it go? Who or whose let you down the most in your life? What makes you feel the most valued? Describe a trait you see in other people that you wish you had yourself. Why do you not have this trait? What are your core values? Why are those values important to you? And then go in and ask, how do you define failure? How does failing make you feel? Are you afraid of failure? If so, why? What do you do with your time when you are bored? What do you enjoy doing? And are there negative emotions you try to avoid, and why? And I know these are a lot of questions. These are a lot of things to ask, a lot of things to write down, okay? And it is a lot, but it is so important, even if you just do one at a time and really concentrate on implementing this shadow work, because it really will open up a whole new part of the healing process and bringing this together. Implement shadow work to improve your well-being. Honestly, implementing this helps to work with the shadow and love all parts of you. Like I said in the beginning, there is light and there's darkness, and we all have light and we all have darkness in us, right? But if you implement it and you put it together and we discover who we are and we're just 100% our authentic self, and we know who we are, right? And we know all of us, and we bring it together, we are happier and we understand who we are. No longer are we putting this down inside anymore, and we're not putting it into the subconscious, and we're not, adding more into our emotion that we don't need. We're bringing it out. We're healing it, right? So implement shadow work to improve our well-being. Improve your well-being. The only way to live authentically as yourself is to discover and accept your shadow self. By accepting yourself fully, you can not only improve your own wellness and mental health, but you can also be ready to accept others for who they are. That's amazing. You can accept yourself and others. Shadow work is a key part of developing introspective skills and self-awareness, which are foundational skills for personal growth. I'm going to tell you, it's not easy work, okay? It really isn't easy work. Shame, frustration, fear are difficult emotions to navigate alone. They distort our ability to see ourselves accurately and make us less self-compassionate. And self-compassion is the key as we work through this, this shadow self of ours. So if you're struggling to practice shadow work on your own, seek support from others. And sometimes it's really good to work with other people and get, friends or people that you trust to do this together so you can support each other in shadow work. I believe in the power of self-awareness and self-compassion to find clarity and build resilience and mental fitness in a challenging world. I also believe that no one should have to go through this journey alone. Shadow work helps you acknowledge all parts of your spirit and bring them into light for greater healing and wholeness. And remember, there is no light without shadow and no psychic wholeness without imperfection. It is the most beautiful journey. I have just barely started working my shadow self, and it is hard, and it is mentally hard. It is emotionally hard. It is draining, and it is so challenging, but I can see how beautiful it's going to be at the end. And I am challenging all of you that are listening, or anyone willing to want to work on their shadow self, to work on it and work through it. And I leave my email at the end of this, and I leave my Instagram information at the end so that you can contact me if you need to. If you need to work through something, I'd be happy to message you back and get back to you, because I love helping people and this is my thing. So don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions. I love this kind of work. I love doing what I do. And healing others heals me, and you'll notice through the process that we need people. We need to come together through these challenging times and find a community and have compassion with each other to get through our own healing process. So don't be afraid to reach out to others, to myself, and just come together and heal, okay? This is going to be amazing. I challenge you to start working on the shadow. And thanks again for joining your energy esthetician on the Love Aligned podcast. Tune in for next week's show. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Love Aligned Podcast. Click on the link in my bio, like, subscribe, comment, and ring that bell. You can also private message me if you need a remote or in-person healing. You can email at lovealignedpodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions as well. And have a beautiful, beautiful day and happy healing.